We're talking, what would you do, or what kind of approach would we use with this knowledge with something like AIDS, okay? And let's say AIDS, because HIV is a blood condition that may or may not lead to AIDS, okay? So let's say AIDS, which is a multitude of symptoms, you got to understand, in which the primary thing is a weakening of the immune system, so the person becomes open to many different sorts of infections. Now, what this knowledge in terms of healing would look at, from a Hawaiian point of view, is we'd look at the tension-causing factors. And with working with a lot of people with AIDS, the primary tension-causing factor seems to be, for whatever reason, a whole lot of anger. Many of the caretakers, the caregivers they call them, have reported that when a person is in the healing process of it, there's a stage which is very, very difficult for everybody of a lot of anger release. Fundamentally, however, there is tension at the basis of every condition from a Hawaiian point of view. The word for illness, ma'i, means a state of great tension. And so all healing is looked at from this tension relieving point of view, all traditional healing. And so when we're doing this, we work with any kind of means available to help a person relieve the tension. And sometimes we assume that anger's present, and so we do things and techniques to help relieve the possibility of anger tension. And the idea behind this is the body knows how to heal itself. Now that we know from modern science. The body does the healing. And the only thing that gets in the way of that healing process, from our point of view, is too much tension. Relieve the tension far enough and the body will heal itself. That's the general approach.
I personally agree, because I have the same experience and sometimes with other diseases, but for example, old souls, as a young baby is born and is, for example, even though involved with AIDS or cancer, it happens. It means
sure,
that
for many different reasons.
Yeah, is the soul attracted like this, or is the mother and the child?
We're talking about, let's say that something like this happens to the child or a baby,
Yeah.
And does it have to do whether their soul is attracted to that experience, or that they're trying to live out something, or what's going on here? Problem is human beings, especially human souls, is that they have as many different kinds of motivations as the full-bodied human. So there'd be no way to generalize completely for all of them, because there's so many possible motivations, so many different things that can come about because of having AIDS. One thing that a lot of children do, however, is, in terms of tension, is they'll reflect the tension of the parents or the group that they're living with. And because the subconscious is always trying to blend with its environment, and sometimes that's why we have this thing called empathy. And there's a lot of illness that comes from empathy, because people automatically empathize or copy or mimic what's going on in their surroundings. Well, if a child is mimicking the state of tension, then depending on the circumstances, the area, the past patterns of the parents, or we'll say parents, that environment, one child in such a tension environment might come down with cancer, another one might come down with AIDS, another one could have a brain tumor, so you can't say that a particular type of tension is always going to cause AIDS, because then there's the historical factors, genetic factors involved, as well as the environmental ones. But what does happen is that children will often mimic the environmental tension. And without as many ways to relieve that tension as adults, they can easily take on an illness that at least the family history associates with that tension.